Hello and welcome back to another data news of the week, the video where we go through all the different blibs and blobs of news regarding data that I couldn't squeeze into any other videos. Once again, for those who followed in last week, I'm still using that mic that those guys Tonor sent me. I'll be honest, I think it's doing well. If you have been watching my videos this week, do let me know if the sound levels have got better for you. And again, there's links to this mic in the description. They sent it free. Lovely stuff. Didn't ask them to, they sent it. Thought it's only fair, give them a plug. But let's crack on with the news. First and foremost, let's get it out the way. I think I found the most powerful NAS I've ever seen in desktop form. I was looking online, I was sort of browsing around different websites, and this doesn't come from any other real source really. I found one online retailer that kind of gave away a part number that I'd not seen before, and then I dug a little deeper and found out about a new QNAP system. Hopefully it's there on screen, the TSH1290FX. And when I say it's the most powerful desktop NAS I've ever seen, I mean it. So let's go through the specifications. From the looks of things, and I have no idea when this thing's coming, by the way. I might make an in-depth video the more I find out about this after the news video. I'm going to do a bit of digging. This is a 12-bay U2 flash desktop NAS, but not just U2. This is U2 NVMe PCIe Gen 4 times 4. You heard me right. This is the first PCIe Gen 4 SSD NAS I've ever seen, and it's 12 bays. There's even suggestions that it might be 24 bay, but I think that's SATA connections. I'm not 100% certain, so I'm not going to commit that. For now, it's definitely a 12 bay U2 PCIe Gen 4 SSD flash NAS. Now the CPU inside would appear to be the AMD EPYC processor series. So that's the 8 or 16 core CPU there, which again, crazy town. Now, from what I can see at different model IDs online, it's got between 64 and 256 gigabytes of DDR4 registered DIMM or RDIMM memory, which is ECC, but also it supports up to a terabyte of memory, which again, and as if that's not enough, the system has two, count them, two 25 gigabit Ethernet ports, not 2.5, although it does have those. I am saying 25 gigabit serious fiber channel there. Now, if all of this wasn't enough, the system, from what I can see of the specifications, also has 4 PCIe Gen 4 slots, 3 of which are PCIe Gen 4 times 16 bandwidth. That's crazy, right? That is by far, not even slightly, it is by far the most powerful desktop NAS I've ever seen, and I'm sure you've ever heard about. I'm going to find out a little bit more about this and do a dedicated video on this, but I really wanted to just share this with you. Next up, another thing that I'm going to make a dedicated video on very, very soon. It is a new PS5 heatsink from the guys at XLR8 or PNY for the name of the brand and the name of their gaming series. This is a new PS5 heatsink there. Now I know we've heard a lot about PS5 heatsinks, you know, all of these different ones, and again all of this comes because these little M2 ones aren't quite as appropriate to what we need there, but this is one that fills that whole cavity, not dissimilar to that of the Sabrent, but this seems to be a much flatter one with smaller grooves all the way across, kind of much more inclined towards the base of that PS5 there at the bottom. Now again, we don't know much about this in terms of pricing. It does look like they're going to be shipping it very, very soon. I'm going to do a bit more digging before I dedicate a video on this one, but again, for those of you that have still been on the fence about buying a heatsink for your PS5, and you shouldn't because it's an expensive bit of kit, this might be for you, particularly if you were someone that in the new year was going to be considering buying the PNY XLR8 CS3140 or 3040 SSD. You might as well wait a little bit longer to see if you can get a bundle of these together. Also, going by the brand's own pages, it looks like they include an additional screw and additional thermal plate there. But the design of it, it's much more gamer branded, and kind of PNY is very much known for that, so I'm really looking forward to getting one of those here for temp testing here in the studio soon. Next up, a brand that I haven't talked about on the channel for quite a long time because they don't release a lot of solutions, namely IOSAFE. IOSAFE have released their latest generation NAS release, and again, much like previous releases from IOSAFE with their disaster-proof, so fireproof and flood-proof NASs, this is utilizing a Synology-based system which they've effectively completely disassembled and then reassembled and took an advantage a lot of their trademarked and proprietary protection techniques there. This is the IOSAFE 1520, and this utilizes the same hardware as the Synology DS1520. So that's a quad-core Celeron processor inside, 8 gig of a DDR4 memory, 2666 megahertz memory. It also arrives with 5 bays of storage, 1 gigabit connectivity on the rear. It also can be expanded by an additional 10 bays of storage. And again, this is a fireproof and waterproof NAS. Those that have been following this channel for about 2 years at least will know that we took one of these things and smashed it to pieces. We destroyed it with hammers. We flooded it. We cooked it on a literal barbecue, and our data was safe. This system also arrived pre-populated with Seagate Ironwolf drives, so you got your data recovery. And if you are watching this IOSAFE, I would love to have another crack and see if that new system is just as well protected as the last. But if you are in the market for a disaster-proof NAS, if you are prone to floods, fire, or you need your data to basically be invulnerable, these are great systems. I recommend you check them out. And really, they're not a brand that makes a lot of hardware solutions, and they integrate existing systems and then wrap around them. And this is it's not going to be cheap, but I'm sure it's going to be as good as the others. And finally, Clearview AI. That's a brand I think some of you don't quite know straight away what I'm talking about. If you know about it, or you go, I swear I heard about them in the news at one point. They are that company that keep basically getting taken to court by whole countries. They are the company that was basically scraping facial recognition data from across the internet, with over 10 billion images formed from scraping online public websites to people's selfies and more, and then taking that information to create their AI facial recognition engine, and then selling it to law enforcement, selling it to government, basically utilizing online resources that are public to create this AI engine. Now, from what I can understand, they've received another delete order. So far, there's been Canada, Australia, and the UK, and now France has jumped on board as well for breaching GDPR. Remember GDPR? Basically saying to them they've been given 2 months, they've issued a warning for 2 months to delete all of that data. Otherwise, serious fines and closures and all that kind of stuff could be threatened. Again, this is a story that never seems to go away. Like, I understand the use to online authorities, law enforcement, as mentioned, to utilize facial recognition, for protection and security and, for evidentiary reasons, but still nonetheless, there's something shady about a company that's just ripping through online images as much as it can, and people's information shared online publicly, but not to that degree, being scraped through and utilized in this manner. So I kind of sort of support this idea that they are getting more than just a slap on the wrist, but something a great deal more serious, hopefully. But this has been Data News of the Week. Thank you so much for watching. Click the subscription button and the bell to be notified, and I will see you next week. It's Christmas, everyone. Get on board.